Fears are growing of an escalation in the fighting along the Israel-Lebanon border. That's following Saturday's deadly rocket strike on the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights. At least 12 children and teenagers were killed and dozens more wounded after rockets hit a football field in an Arab-Druze community. Israel is blaming Hezbollah for the attack, but the Iran-backed militant group denies any involvement.
The funeral procession through the streets of Majd al-Shams was thousands strong. The rocket strike that killed 12 people on a soccer field was the deadliest attack in months. Since then, exchanges of fire with the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah have escalated. For the local Druze community in the Israel-occupied Golan Heights, it's a shock.
We are not more precious than children who are killed anywhere else in the country, nor than the innocent killed in southern Lebanon, or than innocent children killed in Gaza. Our children are not more precious than them. We're human beings. We live our lives in peace and tranquility. We need to strive now to sign a deal and stop this damned war. We want to live. We don't want to die.
Despite regular cross-border hostilities, Hezbollah denies attacking the football pitch where the victims were playing. But Israel's army chief says they have evidence proving otherwise.
This is a Hezbollah rocket. Whoever fires rockets like these into an urban area wants to kill civilians, wants to kill children.
Israeli defense forces reacted just hours later. They say this footage shows airstrikes against Hezbollah military targets in southern and central Lebanon.
We are significantly increasing our readiness for the next stage of fighting in the north. At the same time, we are fighting in Gaza. We are also able to attack very far away from the state of Israel. There will be more challenges. We will increase our readiness. We will act strong when needed.
Lebanon has warned that a significant attack by Israel would lead to a regional war.
We can now speak to DW correspondent Tania Krämer. She joins us from Majd al-Shams, which is, of course, the site of yesterday's rocket attack. So, Tania, can you give us a sense of what the situation is right now where you are?
Well, this is certainly a town in shock and in mourning. We saw the funeral processions and 11 children were laid to rest. We understand from police sources a 12th child is still officially missing, and they're trying to identify the child. Now, we're standing here at this football pitch where it all happened, and people talking to us here, they said it all happened very fast. There was an air raid siren, and just a couple of seconds later, they heard a hit. When those children here, all aged between the ages of 10 to 20, were killed, and many more were injured. Some of them seriously injured in hospitals. So they almost didn't stand a chance, to run for a small shelter, which is over there, to run for their safety. So people here are still very worried what there's to come, but also, of course, today it is a day of mourning here.
And now, Tania, as we've mentioned, Israel already launched a number of retaliatory strikes on presumed Hezbollah positions in Lebanon. Can we expect more?
Yes, the army has said they had carried out retaliatory strikes already overnight, as they say, deep inside Lebanon, but also in southern Lebanon on infrastructure, Hezbollah infrastructure. But of course, right now, everybody's waiting to see what, if you will hear from them, the Israeli Security Cabinet that has been convening this afternoon. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu came back from the United States, what they will decide. There's a lot of pressure inside from this government to retaliate forcefully, but we also understand from diplomatic forces that they don't want to see a wider escalation. So it all depends on what scope Israel, it's expected they will retaliate, but in what scope and when this will happen, because all of this, of course, as you rightly said, there are concerns that this could lead to a wider escalation, even a wider war.
That was DW correspondent Tania Krämer reporting for us from Majd al-Shams in the Golan Heights. Tania, thank you. Marina Miron is a military analyst with King's College London, and a short time ago I asked her why Hezbollah is denying the attack on the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights.
Well, first of all, if we look at the dynamics of the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah, we have seen these tit-for-tat attacks going on, but both sides were sticking to so-called unwritten rules of engagement and trying to hit only military targets on both sides. And I do not believe that Hezbollah has any interest in escalating this conflict. And perhaps Israel doesn't either, because this would spark a bigger conflict in the Middle East with a potential involvement of other actors such as Iran. And therefore, for Hezbollah, it wouldn't be the best time to start this conflict. Its aims are fairly limited. And I think from a military perspective, as we've heard before, the missile might have been misfired. There was a military installation very close by. They wouldn't want to target civilians, waste their missiles on targeting civilians. So it would seem a little bit out of character for Hezbollah. And so I think what they're trying to do is prevent a further escalation to this conflict.
We've already seen Israel retaliating with a number of strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, but we did hear the Israeli government warning that Hezbollah will pay a price for this loss. So is there going to be more? What could this kind of additional retaliation look like?
Well, that's actually a good question, because what we have seen so far is the Israeli strikes on Lebanon are not meant to be carried out as retaliation for the earlier strike supposedly by Hezbollah. So we are awaiting a wider response, and nobody knows what this response will be like. And of course, it is a huge concern for the United States and as other allies of Israel. Therefore, I think before Israel can formulate a response, the allies will exert pressure in order to ensure that the conflict doesn't escalate. And specifically, I'm talking about the United States, because we know that next week there should be ceasefire negotiations in Rome, and that could undermine those negotiations and potentially prolong the conflict in Gaza.
That was Marina Miron, a military analyst with the War Studies Department at King's College London. Marina, many thanks indeed for your insights. Well, we can now bring in DW Beirut Bureau Chief Mohamad Chreyteh. Mohamad, good to see you. What can you tell us about Israel's strikes on Lebanon and about possible reactions by Hezbollah?
Well, Israel has been striking Lebanon over last night. It carried out at least 5 different attacks, including an airstrike deep inside Lebanese territory near Baalbek, a city in northeast Lebanon, nearly 70 kilometers away from the border with Israel. Usually, this is followed by a retaliatory attack by Hezbollah on northern Israel, and that has been the case this afternoon. Hezbollah claimed 2 attacks, at least up until now, on Israeli positions in northern Israel. The armed group is on high alert here in Beirut. We've been hearing that it cleared out some key sites in both Lebanon's south and eastern Beqa Valley in the event of a possible attack by Israel following the deadly attack on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, which Israel is blaming on Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is denying.
Yeah, so, indeed, we've heard already for several hours the denials from Hezbollah that it was responsible for that attack on the Druze community. What exactly have they been saying?
Well, we know that Hezbollah did claim that it carried out at least 12 attacks on Israeli positions yesterday, including 2 attacks on Israeli positions in the Golan Heights, one of which is really close to Majd al-Shams. So it could be that the missile did wrongly hit the soccer field in Majd al-Shams. Hezbollah is denying this. It also could be that the Israeli interception Iron Dome fired a missile that hit that soccer field. Israel is obviously denying this as well, but this has been widely shared opinion in Lebanon and across the region. So Majd al-Shams is predominantly resided by Arab-Druze, and that's a major reason why Hezbollah wouldn't want to target this Arab community, and that's why it's denying any responsibility for the attack.
And now, Mohamad, what has been the official reaction from Lebanese officials? And also, can you give us a sense of how ordinary people feel about this latest escalation?
Well, certainly tension is building on this front, and that brings about anxiety in Beirut and fear from a wider confrontation. You know, an all-out war cannot be ruled out in such very tense times. However, it is still like, it feels like a contained confrontation, at least for the time being. And this has really been the case since October. So the front looks like very tense on the edge of an all-out war, but then it goes back to calm and to the daily routine, the usual tick for tack between Hezbollah and the Israeli army. Now, we know that political and diplomatic calls and talks with Lebanon and Israel have been already established to de-escalate the situation, particularly from the U.S. and Lebanese foreign minister said so. He said that the U.S. asked the Lebanese government to curb Hezbollah, and in return, the Lebanese government asked the U.S. to ask Israel to actually exercise restraint.
That was DW Beirut Bureau Chief Mohamad Chreyteh. Mohamad, thank you so much for your reporting. We appreciate it.